Okay. Hi.
Yeah.
I had to lock in there.
Yeah.
So, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so my name is Louisa Rowley. It's my real name, it's not a stage name. I kind of regret not using a stage name, but I've committed now. Yeah, I'm a blues soul musician. I sometimes incorporate elements of jazz and funk. I write a lot about anxiety, which is something I've struggled with my whole life. I write a lot about post-adolescence, being, in your mid-20s. I'm 25 now. I write about being autistic, and which is something I only found out 2 years ago. And yeah, I'm releasing an EP this year, which I'm really excited about. Which, yeah, is just really going to chronicle, it's sort of, I guess, going to introduce me to the world and chronicle the last, I'd say 4 years of my life. Yeah, I perform with a band in London that I absolutely love. I've got some gigs lined up that I'm really excited about. So yeah, the EP is going to detail sort of a narrative theme of the last 4 years. So like I had a nervous breakdown in 2022, and then a year later I got diagnosed with autism when I was 23. It's kind of late to find out about the condition you have, and I guess it's also a bit about self-discovery, but also healing from that, wanting to just be happy again, and all that stuff. So yeah.
Very cool. Who's in the band?
So we've got the wonderful Jude on guitar. We've got the wonderful Aidan on bass. We've got sort of two keys players. We've got the lovely Jack on keys, but he's also very, very busy with his other band. So we have just recently recruited a lovely guy called Evan. And we've got the amazing Leo on drums. They're all people most of us went to uni together. So that's how we all sort of met. It actually started through the bassist Aidan. He sort of knew everyone, so when I said I need a band online, just into the space, he was the first, and he said, oh yeah, I know some people, and I said, oh, that would be amazing. So yeah, no, we perform mostly London shows. Our live set, it's upbeat, it's quite eclectic. That's sort of, I always like to start and end on something upbeat. So we start upbeat, then we bring it down and we slow you down a little bit, and then we bring you back up to the happiness again. And yeah, I absolutely love performing. I think it's probably like where I'm most happy. And yeah, I only started writing music when I was 18, so I was kind of late. I'd played piano and stuff at school, but I was not particularly musical. But yeah, when I was 18, when I first started having really bad anxiety, for the first time in a while, I used writing music as an outlet for that, and that's around the time I started learning to sing. And from there I did a university degree from it in creative musicianship, and from there I just sort of realised, oh, this is what I want to do, because I'd never had that before. I'd never had anything, like even stuff I enjoyed at school. I loved English literature at school. I never had any interest in pursuing it to a career. Music, I think, for me is the only thing I've ever had any interest in actually doing beyond that. Yeah.
So tell me about the first track on your EP.
So yeah, the first track on the EP, Anxious Soul, it's called Stop. It's a sort of blues meets funk. It's very 60s inspired. So like the live sets I do, I wanted the EP to start and end happy. So you sort of start upbeat, you sort of bring yourself down slowly, and then you bring yourself back up. I didn't want it to be this kind of juxtaposition. And so Stop is it was very inspired by like sort of 60s psychedelic funk, Janis Joplin style kind of music, particularly like her second album with the Cosmic Blues Band. And so it was very much kind of blues meets funk, and so I felt like I almost wanted to create in the lyrics like a mantra for myself, and that's where the idea of stop. So when I'm panicking or when I'm overthinking, I just tell myself stop. And so I can it sounds really weird, but it does work. So I'll like be panicking and I'll just say the lyrics to myself of the, stop focusing on things you can't control, stop reacting to everything, and it really does work. And so I kind of like it being this mantra, and it's one we often put second or third in the live set. And see, I took it to the band and I said, oh, I don't really know what to do with this. I know it's kind of bluesy, funky, so can you do blues meets funk? And then they understood the assignment perfectly. And they started, and we really wrote the live version before we wrote the release version, which was really interesting because I've never really done that before when writing music. And really my main thing was I wanted it to be one that was fun to perform on stage, because I love performing so much. So I wanted it to be like, okay, we're up here and we're doing an upbeat song and we're moving about the stage, we're dancing and we're being very eclectic. So yeah, it starts with just sort of staccato and it slowly builds. But yeah, really for me, it's a little bit of a mantra that I can say to myself to make myself feel better, and maybe other people can listen and it can be like that same thing for them. Yeah, we wrote it only probably about a year ago, and yeah, after we started doing it in the live set and I realised I wanted it to be on the EP, I took it to my producer Richard, who's fantastic. He's produced all my stuff. He's basically went off of what they'd written live and he recreated that for the composition, but then obviously adding stuff for the release version. So yeah, I really credit the band with creating a really just fun, upbeat one. It's not, I'd say, the most complicated thing I've ever written. I don't think it's even the best thing I've ever written, but it's fun, and I just love it being fun and upbeat. So yeah, that is the first track. Yeah.
I love how you incorporate like such fun musical elements to such a serious like subject matter.
Yeah.
It's a great concoction of
Yeah, I almost sort of say the music's upbeat, the lyrics are sad, but the music's still going to be upbeat, so you can still feel like you can dance to it. And I feel like that's also part of the healing, is just sort of not taking it too seriously and just being like, yeah, I feel this way, let's get over it. not in that way, not in a like, oh, you have to get over it, but it's sort of,
let's dance about it.
Yeah, let's dance to it, and let's just live our lives despite the fact that we feel that. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So tell me about the second track, To Be Me.
Yeah, so To Be Me it's kind of a unique one in that the meaning of the song I feel like changed after I released it because my circumstances in life changed. So, and it's also gone through quite a few iterations. So I actually wrote it like about 4 or 5 years ago. Basically, I just wrote it because I wanted to write something kind of bluesy, kind of soul-y, with the intention of the verses almost being spoken because there's too many words in. Because that's quite a common thing in blues music, is that you almost put too many words in and you have to kind of speak to make up the time. And so I wanted something like that. But I also wanted a chorus that kind of went all out and went very sort of, not even aggressive, but just really went for it. And so we'd been told by a tutor, I was still at uni at this point, studying music, and we'd been told by a tutor, we've been told by a tutor about this technique where you can basically say to yourself, you give yourself a time limit and say, I'm going to write a song in this time. And it's quite a good way of getting a first draft out and making decisions. So I just challenged myself to write it in an hour. So the chord progression doesn't change that much. It's very simple. And it was just me going over emotions. And at the time, actually, the first version of it was a song called The Forgotten Ones. And it was about, I felt like I'd been to a lot of places by myself and felt very sort of socially awkward, and like I didn't know how to talk to people, especially when you go to things by yourself and you don't know anyone at these events, or you only know 1 or 2 people. But then as time went on, I felt like that meaning was no longer speaking to my current circumstance, and I really wanted to write a song about anxiety that really showed people the exact sort of things you go through. And that's why like the first line of the verses is always, you don't know how it feels, and sort of really detailing intensely what each verse is, and that's then at the end of the chorus I was right, and so then I changed the title actually to The Emotional Ones, because I'm a very emotional person, I feel things very deeply, but then as I was ending each chorus with That's What It's Like to Be Me, and I thought that was a way better title, so then I changed it to Be Me. But interestingly, I wrote it before I was diagnosed with autism. And looking back on it now, I'm actually not only describing, I mean, there is crossover between anxiety and autism, like a lot of people with autism get a lot of anxiety. I am in a way describing also being neurodiverse and not even necessarily realising it. And so it's kind of quite a fun one to look back on in that sense, because I look back on it and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm talking about sort of 2 things that I talk about. Because I talk about anxiety a lot, I would like to talk about autism more in my music, and so it's nice to have something on my first EP that does actually sort of delve into both sides of my life in that way. And so yeah, it's really cool in that way. And so yeah, it's one that's really cool to perform because we can really play on like the blues elements, the soul elements. It's sort of like, I think I had a commenter on TikTok call it blues meets R&B. I don't know if I'd necessarily call it R&B. I don't know if the production style suits an R&B sound, but yeah, it's really cool to have this kind of song that has a double meaning that I didn't even realise when I was writing it, and then by the time I released it, it meant something completely different, and it was really cool.
It's nice to represent, I feel, an underrepresented group of people as well in music as well.
Yeah, because like I feel I would love to write more about being autistic. I mean, truth be told, I don't have much experience being aware of being autistic because I was only diagnosed 2 years ago, but it is something I would love to explore more in like my music in the future. But it was nice to just have something in there in one of the tracks. Yeah,
feels like the first step.
Yeah, exactly, it's a first step, so that was really cool. Yeah, so yeah.
So tell me about track 3.
So yeah, track 3, you'll be more familiar with it because you did the music video for it. So it's A Piece for Retirement. It's one that people do seem to really like and connect to. It's probably one of my most emotional ones. It's one that I'm weirdly proud of. Yeah, it was written when I was really in the midst of my mental breakdown. My anxiety was horrendous. And I had my mental breakdown between the 2nd and 3rd year of uni, and I really thought maybe I'm not going to be able to finish uni, or I'm going to have to move it a year. And I just realised that more than anything, I just wanted to be a happy old person by the beach, because like I think sometimes when you go through those situations, you kind of are forced to reprioritise. And so even though I had all these like dreams and desires of being like a singer, being, you know, professional, you know, getting my degree and stuff, at the time the goal that seemed like most important was let's just find a way to be happy. And the two places my mind is silent are when I'm on stage singing and when I'm in nature. So yeah, in a beautiful place like this. And so like, and I'm also, my mum always sort of says she thinks I'm partly aquatic because I love being in water or near water. And so that was a big thing of the chorus line, A Piece for Retirement in a House by the Sea. I find water very calming. And, you know, I swim weekly outdoors. So I for me, it was very much like a thing of finding something else that makes me happy, that is just going to calm me down. And for me, that was just finding somewhere in nature. And one thing like my parents have always said to me when I'm struggling is like, oh, you're going to find this easier as you get older. You get older, you mature, you get better at coping with things. So I was just like, because I was struggling, I just wanted to be a peaceful, happy old person in a house at the beach. And so that's where that came from. And so even though you can look on it and be like, oh, it's kind of a sad song, I think there's happiness in there, because it's sort of realising that more than anything, happiness is more important than anything, and prioritising that and your own sort of sanity is incredibly important. And actually the chords, I was just mucking about on the ukulele at home and I thought, oh, I quite like that. And so then when I started writing, I thought, oh, I'll use that chord sequence again. And then it turned into something that people really liked. And yeah, I took it to my producer and that was one he really liked. And he just did his magic with it, adding all this lovely guitar over the top, adding some like synth sounds. And so yeah, no, and yeah, that's the one I think that people seem to really connect with the most. So I think that's a really sweet thing that they do connect with. And you know, I wrote it like 4 years ago, and that people are still listening to it and like it is really cool. I think really nice.
It's timeless. You should be proud of it.
Yeah.
And who's your producer?
Richard Mark. He is amazing. He's done all my singles with me, and he's done the whole EP, and he's fantastic. He's also an alum from the same ICMP uni, and he just has this little home studio that he works out of, and he plays so many instruments. Guitar is sort of one of his main instruments. And yeah, I often just take a track to him and I say, here's a chord sequence, here's a vocal melody, here's sort of what I want it to sound like, and he'll just start playing all these instruments. He'll play a bass line, he'll play a guitar, he'll play the keyboard, and he just makes it sound incredible. So yeah, no, he's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me about the track 4.
Yeah, so track 4 on Anxious Soul is called Move On. And this is one that was very much like, again, one I wrote with the band, and it was like Stop, the first track. It was very much, we worked on the live version because I had stuff I wanted to add to our live set, before I did anything with my producer Richard Mark for this release version. And so the live version, basically I knew I wanted a funk-esque bass line. My bassist Aidan, whenever we're in practice, he would always, even though he's in a metal band, and at the time he was also in a rock band, he would just burst into funk basses. And I'd say, do you secretly just want to be in a funk band? And he'd say, kind of. I said, okay, I'll write a funk track for you. And again, I wanted it to be kind of blues meets funk, so I had that kind of 12-bar blues chord progression in there, but with, again, that more upbeat kind of vibe. And so I took the chords and the vocal melody again, and I said, can you just do me like a funk bass line? And he sort of worked on it, and in about 5 minutes he had this fantastic sort of slap bass, funk bass line. Wow. And the other guys just start joining in and figuring out the arrangement and the structure. And then at one point I said, I think it would be really cool to have a solo here. Rather than a guitar solo or a key solo or something, why don't we have a bass solo? And at first he was quite worried about that, but then he was like, oh yeah, I think we can do it. And he wrote this incredible 10-bar slap bass solo. Which is just so much fun live. And when we're performing it live, I'm sort of like just framing him often. It's incredible. So yeah, that was so, and it's one of my favorite ones to do. And really, again, it's kind of similar to Stop, and it's like taking that kind of bad thing and being like, let's just move on from it. And so this was me sort of saying to myself, I'm aware I've got things I struggle with, but I'm gonna move on from them, which doesn't work for everyone. For me, if the more I focus on the bad things I'm feeling, the worse I start to feel. I sort of get back into a bad place. So it's better for me to sort of occupy myself in a way and let myself feel those things, but also not let it stop me from living my life. And so that's really where the concept of the song came up, is sort of acknowledging I'm my own worst enemy, I've got unhealthy habits at times, but I'm not going to put up with this anymore, with this anxiety. And it was very much about moving on from that mental breakdown and saying, yeah, we're going to move on. And so yeah, no, it's again, it's the lyrics are sad, but the music's upbeat, so you can kind of acknowledge the sadness, but you can dance to it and have fun. And it's a really fun one to do on stage. And so yeah, when it came to the release version, my bassist asked him to record. I was like, I don't think anyone can recreate this bass line, so he recorded it really fantastically. And then we sort of, from there, built the release version of the track around it. I say we again, that was mostly my producer Richard, because he's just fantastic. And yeah, and it's one that it's not come out yet. It's going to come out a little bit before the EP, but I can't wait for it to come out. I'm so excited for that. Yeah, so it's another one that I really love and I'm really proud of, and I hope people just feel like they can dance to it. Yeah.
It's very an empowering project, because you know everyone has their vices and their unhealthy choices as well as their healthy choices, like, don't we all? So it's nice to sort of dance in the chaos and embrace all your flaws, and as well as your...
Yeah, it is a real embracing of the flaws, and it's sort of, I think the way I described it when I was talking about pitching a show about it is like, it's a journey of self-discovery, self-acceptance and healing, really, more than anything. It's a journey of anxiety and of mental health, but it's a journey of self-discovery and acceptance more than anything else. And just like, and even the title, like Anxious Soul, like I am an anxious soul. I've always been a neurotic person, and I don't think that will change drastically, but as I move on with my life, I'm going to get better at dealing with it, and music is one of the ways I cope with it. It is my outlet, and so if other people can connect to it, then I think that's really lovely. I
think also as well, sorry, he just has a sailor hat on, and that's really sweet.
Oh my god, he does! That is amazing.
Man, sailing a barge has a great sailor hat on.
Perks of filming next to a canal is you see actual sailors.
Actual sailors.
I did not think I'd see that, but that is so cool.
Here at Pandem Mill. It's a great way to connect with your audience as well, when you feel the most comfortable in music, making music, performing music, and I feel that obviously telling that story through this sonic soundscape is I think people are going to connect with it, for sure.
I hope so. So yeah, you'll be familiar with the Peaceful Retirement video because you made it.
I made it.
I really like that kind of slice of life home movie kind of music video content. And so like Amy Winehouse, some of the music videos she did, like Love Is a Losing Game, even though that, that's like the height of her fame, and she did very sort of home movie style where it's just sort of lots of shots, it's on sort of older cameras, that kind of thing. And like I went to uni with this great artist Blanca, who's part of this Spanish group Baus, and they make incredibly beautiful like soundscape music, and so for that they decided to do their own kind of home movie kind of music video that I thought looked really cool. And so I really loved the idea of a home movie kind of video, a VHS style sort of late 90s, early noughties. And I guess because the song, the main like part of the song is a peaceful retirement in a house by the sea, I was like, well, I can't film anywhere else but the sea. So then I was like, okay, let's make it like a sort of British holiday 90s movie in a seaside town. And the only beach I'd ever been to was Canberra Sands. So in my head that was kind of like a no-brainer, just because it's not right next door, but it's not out the way. It's not like I'm going 200 miles or anything. And it's such a beautiful place. It's really big, so we would have a lot of space. Now we chose to film in the summer, and I assumed it would be sunny. That was not the case.
But bear in mind the country that we live in.
Yes. And so I was at work bragging, I was like, I'm a genius, I'm not going to have to do any work, I'm just going to have to piss about and it will be sunny. And then I said, oh no, I think it's going to rain, and they were saying genius. And so yeah, we turned up, but we'd had that discussion already of if we turn up and it's raining, we've come all that way, let's just get the shots.
We're gonna do it anyway.
And so it was very much just me and my mates pissing about in the rain. But I also felt like the rain added quite a lot to it. That kind of aesthetic, it gave it a little bit more chaos. It played with the kind of what we could and couldn't do more. It made it a little bit more silly and fun in a way, because it's like, okay, I'm going to go in the sea now, even though it's freezing and it's soaking and it's raining and stuff. So I felt like it really added to that kind of, to the aesthetic and the style. And then we also obviously had the separate shots of me singing the song, and if I remember, we wanted to do a couple, so we had it saved, but it kept the rain and the light was so on and off, we were like, okay, we'll just have to go with the one and hope. But that was very much me having my Chris Martin Yellow Coldplay moment, because he had the same thing, as they went to film the Yellow music video at a beach, and then it was raining and they were waiting, and he said, oh, for God's sake, so we're just going to film in the rain. And so that whole video, I think, is just him walking one shot in the rain. And so yeah, that was just me very much having my Chris Martin moment. And I'm really proud of it, and I think you did an awesome job, and it was so much fun. And it was very nice of you to come down and piss about in the rain.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, we've got more sailing.
Sailor. I find it like, for me, it was a good testament to show sort of my resilience. Yeah,
you can advertise this. I'm committed. I will come to the beach in the rain.
That was my angle, as well as obviously creating a really cool piece of work that I'm really proud of. That was good fun. There was a beautiful chaos in that. In filming that.
Absolutely.
A lot of all of restrictions in terms of the weather, so we had to do the one take with the performance, and then going up and down the dunes was like the first 5 minutes. A lot of just being there, and that was like one shot.
And also you had the dogs that ran into the shot, which was kind of perfect, and I loved it. But I had to be like to the guy, hey, super random, we're actually shooting a music video right now, is it okay if we get this shot? And he was like, yeah, okay, you can have the dogs in the shot. And I don't think he really understood what I was saying, but
but we got a consent.
We got consent. So that's good. So, it was just, and it was one of those ones where it's like, there's no shot list, we're not going in with a particularly solid plan, we're just going to piss about and see what happens. And it kind of worked out really beautifully, and it was just like, okay, I'm going to go walk up there now, we'll see what we get.
That's it. And we got nice shots of your friend helping you, or you helping your friend up and stuff.
There was a lot of falling over in the sand. I think when I got home I was soaked, I was covered in sand, but it was so worth it. And I liked it. And again, the outfit I was wearing was not like a music video outfit, but it kind of just blended really well into this bright yellow coat and these bright red shorts led into the aesthetic really well. And it's like, I feel like you can look at it and be like, oh yeah, yellow coat, and notice that. It's
very, dare I say, iconic.
Maybe. But it's not, I didn't even buy it, that's just my own personal coat that I own.
It's great. That is a quintessential raincoat.
Yeah, it is the most
yellow.
raincoat looking raincoat.
Yeah.
I sometimes my personal style, my style as an artist is not identical. I sort of use some of the styles I like and I dedicate that to my artist style. I mean, that's not to say I'll say like, oh, I only wear that as an artist, so I can't wear that personally. But like, I like to incorporate suits into my artist style. I like to incorporate kind of a retro-y 50s, 60s look. But my casual style is just very like a grandma at the beach or like an oversized toddler or even just like the mum at school pickup, I think is where it ends up falling between. So it was kind of fun to bring some of my own personal style into it.
Yeah.
And so with Move On, because it as a song it's about, you know, moving on from my nervous breakdown. And so I wanted to kind of represent that with intrusive thoughts. So so it was actually mostly Aisha, because I know like no one. She recruited all these wonderful actors to come to London and be extras in this music video. And you had a group, I think it was 7 or 8 on each. And each of them were either a positive or a negative thought. I always wanted it to be kind of like inside out, like you're inside my mind. And so I made these cardboard signs that said like, you know, like you suck, you're pathetic, you know, it's the kind of negative stuff you say to yourself. And so the first group that came and we filmed with them at around 12, we had them, you know, we had all these shots of each one of them all in black, holding these signs in this white studio. And then also we had shots of them walking around me, because we're trying to show it's them kind of surrounding me. And then we did the second group, who were the positive thoughts. So I made the kind of stuff you would say to yourself to make yourself feel better. So like I made these colourful signs that were like, it gets better, like Go Girl was one of them.
Nice.
That was very popular. The Go
yeah.
Girl they liked. And so all these extras were then in different colours, and so they all came around and hugged me. But also because the song is quintessentially, getting my band for a music video is like trying to herd cats. They're very busy. You know this, because we originally were going to have the band do something for a Peaceful Retirement video. But we were like, it's too much stress. So what I thought is, because the bass that Aidan wrote is such an integral part of it, let's just have me and Aidan film. And I really liked the idea of, I don't know what it is about me and park benches, but I really like using park benches and stuff. So we went to Richmond Park, which I'd never been to, and it's massive. And the first thing was, it was a weekend because I work in the week. So we were like, let's prepare for a possibility that there's going to be people sitting on the benches. So we were like, if there's people sitting on the benches, we'll just stand somewhere and we'll just make sure we find good background. But as soon as Aisha got there, I said, I can see someone's just gotten off a bench. So we ran to get the bench. And it really paid off, because we could use the levels of the bench, because we weren't like sat down normally on it, we were sat like on the top bit of it. And so we kind of, and I was in like a full tux. So it kind of had that whole kind of girl bossy vibe, I guess, which is not me at all, but it was kind of like just me being like, fuck yeah. And Aidan with his bass looking like a blues brother, just looking fantastic, with all these sort of middle class families looking at us like, what the hell are they doing? Because we did not ask if we could film, we just sort of turned up with a speaker and started filming. But yeah, no, it's really, really cool, and I can't wait for people to see that, because it's very much a look inside my mind, and it's very sort of, I mean, I don't necessarily like to always come back to it, but I think I do come back to it. It's like, being autistic, I'm quite a literal person sometimes. And so being like, oh, this is like literally what it is it's these individual thoughts that are like here, and this is how I'm going to get myself out of it with these other thoughts, and having that be so visual, I felt like really played into my neurodivergence. So yeah, I can't wait for people to see that as well. Yeah.
I really wanted to ask about your diagnosis being autistic, and like, I guess how you come about, like how it come about, if you want to, and also like how it feels now, because also like I feel, whether this goes in or not, but I wonder it as well. Seems to be a common thing in the arts as well, if I'm going to be dead honest, and I think that's beautiful. So I think, but yeah, how did it happen for you?
I mean, I think being neurodiverse leans itself into creativity, like, because like after I got diagnosed, my mum actually, funnily enough, she was curious and she Googled musicians with autism, and there's very few that have been like confirmed diagnosed, but there's a lot that are like, I 100% believe that I have this. So like David Byrne, Bjork, they've both said I've not been diagnosed, but I very much believe myself to be this. And so yeah, I had never really, I didn't know loads about autism. I did not believe it was something I had. As a teenager, I showed a few traits here and there, like I love London now, but as a teenager going up to London, I mean, being from like the outskirts, I can get into London very easily to the centre, and I used to find it very overwhelming, like noise-wise. It's very loud, it's very busy. And I remember someone saying to me once, that's kind of an autistic thing, is getting, but I was just like, yeah, but I don't have autism.
Yeah.
And then when I was in my first year of uni, there was someone in my class who was autistic, and they were very open about the fact that they had the condition. And I remember seeing them talking about it and thinking, this kind of feels like me a lot. And as time went on, I sort of read more up on it, and about how often women go undiagnosed because when they were originally testing and coming up with like the diagnostic criteria, they only tested on men and on boys. And so a lot of the time women got overlooked, and the way it does kind of present itself in women is kind of different to what people always expect. So like a really big thing with women is masking, which is where you sort of put on a front in a way. And so it's much harder to tell someone's autistic if they're sort of doing their best to pretend they're not.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so I sort of said to my parents, I think I would like to maybe put myself forward for an autism test. And my mum said, well, I had kind of thought throughout times in your life that maybe you did have it, but I was never sure whether to say anything. And so I thought, you know, and at the time I think I was 21, I was like, yeah, let's put ourselves forward. Now, the actual road to getting a diagnosis is quite long.
Right.
The waiting list is often quite long. Doctors, they can be very, they're not unhelpful, but in this particular case, I had to have all these points to prove it was affecting my work and my school life and stuff like that. And so I am of the opinion that it's going to affect you regardless of what you're doing in life. But because I've been to the doctors before I've got a few physical health issues, I've got mental health issues, like I sort of knew what they'd want me to say. So I was saying, you know, this is the list of traits that I feel I fall into. So I would like an autism test. And then they said, okay, well, how is it affecting your work and school life and whatnot? And so I answered that. And then they said, okay, we want you to talk to another GP. So then I spoke to another GP. And then they said, okay, we'll put you to the local NHS service for it. So then I got sent, sorry, I'm rambling. It's a long story. Then I got sent, then I got a phone call from a woman, and it was like a telephone triage. So I'm going into more detail on exactly what it is, why I think I have it, the symptoms, whatnot. And so then she was like, okay, we're going to send you some surveys. And I hate the surveys they send, because as someone with anxiety, I've done them a lot for like therapy services, and I've always felt they're not that representative. The scale, you never know how to sort of quantize the scale. And like, because sometimes it will be like, I can have a really good week and then I can have a really bad week. So I can go to a therapist and they think I'm getting better, but because I've said, I've not had anything this week. And then all of a sudden, and so I've never liked them, but I did them. And they wanted to put me for ADHD as well, just because they were like, if it's not autism, it could be ADHD, because there is a lot of crossover. So I did them. And then they said, oh, you were just on the cusp, but we're not going to go forward and test you for autism. And so I messaged them back and I said, well, there were a lot of symptoms that weren't listed there. It was very kind of male-centric kind of criteria. So I don't think that's the right decision. And they said, okay, well, we'll have someone come in and speak to someone. So then I went and spoke to someone, and then they said, okay, yeah, no, I think we should put you forward for a test. But the waiting list was 2.5 years long.
Wow.
So the time I was put on the list, I was 21. I didn't get seen till I was 23. Which is actually earlier than I was expecting, because originally it was like 2 to 3 years, and so I actually got seen within 2 years, which is quite unusual. Like some people have to wait 3.5 to 4 years. And then I think the NHS had started to use sort of outsource to private services as well. So even though I did it on the NHS, it was technically with a private company, because they were outsourcing to try and bring the waiting list down. And so I had to do a test called an ADOS. So I went to this house, and there was 2 doctors. There was one observing, one speaking. That was a weird test. So they were like, okay, here's a thing, fill it with shapes or something, and then they talk a bit, and then they were like, oh, here's some shapes, make a story from these shapes. And I was like, I think this exam is for children, but I'm 23. It was like kind of obvious they haven't quite adapted the assessment for adults. And so that was just wholly strange. And then the next day or two, you have to have like an appointment. Basically, you have like a close friend or family member fill out this questionnaire. So my mum did it, and then we had a thing where we sat together, and they're going through it more, and so it was like a 2 to 3 hour like not an exam but assessment where they're going through the telling stories of what possibly made them think, and then they were like, okay, we're going to look at all the results from both tests and we're going to diagnose you yes or no. So then I got a diagnosis over Zoom, and they were like, we're going to send you these resources, and they also sent me like the thing of like, I don't know what you call it, like an assessment thing. Right. And so then they're like, you're going to find that there's not one way to be autistic. Right. So yeah, and then from there it was just like, oh, I guess I'm autistic now. Right. But then like also like people like some of my friends who like I hadn't told loads of people I was getting assessed. I was just like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm autistic, and they're like, I'm not surprised. I was like, oh. That's always,
how did that feel?
Kind of weird, because I thought I was much less obviously autistic than I am. But the thing is, it is now having a diagnosis is very liberating, because it's like a validation almost. So I feel like I used to mask a lot. I feel like I don't mask loads anymore. I'm much more. And so now when people meet me and I said I'm autistic, they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And it's like, because I'm just being more myself. And that's kind of one of the things I love about being a musician, like going on stage. I allow myself to openly stim. So stimming is a thing in neurodivergence. I think people with ADHD do this as well. And it's where you move to soothe yourself. So it can be you're really happy, so you'll move a lot, or like you're nervous, so you'll move to calm yourself down. So like, because I'm so happy on stage, I will stim openly. And like, I just love like not even making a thing of it, just being like, yeah, I'm here and I'm autistic and I'm stimming. And I think neurodivergence does lend itself to creativity as well, just because it makes you very determined. I've actually had a conversation with my mum before where it's like, I don't think I'd be a musician if I wasn't autistic, because I wouldn't have the determination I do. But yeah, I think it also just means you see things kind of differently, and that's why so many creatives do have neurodivergent conditions, or even if they don't have the conditions, they have traits of the conditions, or they can understand the people with those conditions better. So I think it does just really lean itself into creativity. So it's very liberating now to sort of just be like, yeah, I'm autistic and I'm here, and this is what I do. I sing, and I get anxious and I sing and stuff. And so yeah, it's really, yeah, I wouldn't say I'm like, yeah, I love being autistic or anything, like, because I've had people say that before, and I wouldn't say that's me, because like, sure, there are things that makes your life harder. I am a nightmare to get clothes for, because I have to make sure the label in the back of the top is removable, because I cannot do labels in backs of tops. And like, I can get very overwhelmed by sound very easily. I can get, it's not necessarily always the easiest thing, but it's made, I think it's a fundamental part of me and my artistry, so I don't think I would change it as such.
Yeah, I hear like sometimes people, in maybe trying to see it as a positive way, try and see it as like a superpower. Yeah, no, I can see why people would say that, because in a way it can lend itself to being really advantageous. Like, if a big thing with autism is special interests and sort of being really, really interested and researching something. So I guess in a sense, like someone who like is really knowledgeable on one subject, it does seem like a superpower, and it can be advantageous to have people who are experts in those kind of areas. I don't know if I think of it as my superpower. I think I just think of it as part of me. But if people want to think of it as a superpower, they can. That's the beautiful thing about this EP, is that it feels like a step into that. Like, it's kind of a new, just like a sort of step of exploration, as like a new development sort of thing. Yeah,
it's kind of cool that some of the music was written before the diagnosis and some was written after. I think you can kind of see, it's funny that actually after the diagnosis I was writing much more upbeat stuff, so those Stop and Move On were written post-diagnosis. To Be Me and A Piece for Retirement, which are the sort of more sombre ones, they were written before. So I think there is like a sort of almost like a liberation, that maybe I was just more happy in myself, I was more comfortable in myself. By then I was, much more, I was involved in music much more, because I was with a band and stuff like that, and so I think it does definitely like represent itself quite nicely. And so yeah, obviously anxiety is a big theme of it, but also autism, I think, has had a bigger influence than maybe I would say in any of the lyrics. So none of the lyrics are like, yeah, I'm autistic now and that's cool, but like I think it's had a bigger impact on the EP than might be immediately obvious. So that's really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
The future of Louisa Rowley.
Yeah, so yeah, like this EP obviously focused very much on like a very specific sort of last 4 years. In particular, like I felt like COVID influenced it quite a lot. Now I feel like the music I'm writing now, I want to represent the stuff I'm going through now, which sounds really, really obvious now I'm saying it out loud. But yeah, like, and so I've been writing about, I'm writing with my band. I wanted for the next EP to write more stuff with them, so that like, I felt like having instrumentalist input on a song just really adds to the whole soundscape of it and just can really elevate it. And that's never how I've written for a long time. I wrote in uni assignments in groups, but other than that, and it's not necessarily like, oh, we come in and we start from blank. I tend to come in with a structure, a vocal melody and lyrics, and a chord sequence, and then from there I'm like, let's go and let's see what we can do. And from there they're saying, okay, what kind of genre are you looking for? What kind of references do you have? Because I could take something and it, you know, they could write 5 different ways to make it and stuff. And so yeah, I thought it would be nice whilst I'm releasing this EP to work on the next EP already, so that it's like I've got it sounds really not artistic and spiritual, but being a musician you have to think about content, and I thought it would be nice to just go off of that and still have stuff I could release. And so I'm writing more about being in your mid-20s. I've always struggled to grow up. I'm a young 25. You know, I've never lived away from home and stuff like that, and so I feel like more of this EP focuses on post-adolescence, being in transitional stages in your life. So there's a song I've written that is going to go on the next EP that I'm really proud of, that's called Wildflowers, and I actually wrote that with my band, in that like I took the song in and they said, if you change this chord to this, we could actually make it quite jazzy. And I was like, that's really cool. I've written like, I was a jazz, when I started singing, oh, someone's doing another thing. Yeah, and so like when I first started singing, I learnt jazz standards exclusively because that's basically all I was listening to. Right. But I've never really written much jazz. I mean, again, it's not proper jazz, because like jazz is very elitist, so I don't like to be like, yeah, it's a jazz song. Yeah, you call it jazz. But it's jazz influenced, and so that song was very much all about how, as much as I really enjoy working in London, in an office in my first full-time job, I really miss being around greenery and nature, because I'm from quite a suburban area where there is quite a lot of greenery, and so it's kind of like those two aspects of me almost pulling me 2 different directions. And so I feel like that's something that a lot of younger people maybe will relate to, sort of transitioning into full-time work, transitioning into city jobs, that kind of thing. There's stuff about my specific response to world events, sort of feeling like maybe I'm not doing enough, maybe I could be doing more to, you know, as the world plunges into catastrophe after catastrophe, what exactly am I doing? And I think young people will find that very relatable. I think neurodiverse people will find that very relatable. And so I'm writing. I also got so sick of writing stuff that was kind of meditative and sad that I'm also writing a song about John Oliver. And I don't know if it will actually make it onto a release schedule or if it'll be good, but I was like, fuck it, we're just going to write something fun. So it's about how I have a theory that anyone who's attracted to men would find the perfect partner in John Oliver. And so I started writing that, and I have the perfect idea for like a music video with a cardboard cutout. And so like I was like, I don't know if that will actually make it onto the release. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be a rubbish song. But I think I now, because I'm more open with I'm in a bit of a happier place now. It's more about being in your mid-20s and post-adolescence. You're kind of
I'm really over that. That quality.
And so like that was actually inspired by another great artist called BB Barry. She wrote a song about how Jeff Goldblum is the perfect guy. It was the chorus was love me like Jeff Goldblum loves me in my wildest dreams. I remember she brought it out, and actually Jeff Goldblum saw it and he tweeted, I give it 10 out of 10 Goldblums. And I remember thinking, that's so funny and cool to write a song about a celebrity. And then one of my other friends, Terrell, he writes instrumental music, and he was writing a song called Keanu Reeves. And so I had it in the back of my mind, I wanted to write a song about a celebrity. Whether anything will come of this song, I don't know. Maybe it'll be shit, but yeah.
It sounds
but like,
incredible.
I feel like I'm in more of a phase of my life where like I want to experiment more with my writing, and so yeah, I'm working on new music. I don't know when it will come out, I can't say, but yeah, it's going to be focused more on post-adolescence, being in your mid-20s, not sort of really knowing about your place in the world, trying to find your place in the world. Me and the band have been on a bit of a break from gigging. Next year we're going to get back into gigging. We're going to possibly do a show to launch the deluxe version of Anxious Soul, which will have some acoustic versions of the tracks on it. But yeah, I've also set myself a goal. I said, with some people might have seen on my Instagram, like 3 people maybe, is that like I set myself a goal that I would like to be the UK's representative for Eurovision in the next 5 years. But like as me, I wouldn't get up and do like a pop song. I'd do some of my music. And so I've managed to find the email of who I need to contact. I don't get to be it this year because they've already shortlisted. I contacted them too late. But I can basically bug them every year until they agree. Because they say like, oh, we're not sure on the song for, or we're not sure we've got a different artist lined up. I'm like, cool, see you next year. I'm bugging you again until. So yeah, what's next for Louisa is just a lot of, I think, behind the scenes work, so that people have more they can relate to. Hopefully, maybe one day making money from it.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We need to see more of Louisa Rowley.
I hope so. That's very kind of you to say. But yeah, no, that is. Yeah, I'm always around on TikTok and Instagram posting my face. So yeah.
Follow that up. What's the handle?
Oh yeah, it's Louisa Rowley Music. So Louisa Rowley Music on everything. So I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I've got a YouTube, I've got a Facebook. My music's out on pretty much every platform. So yeah, and yeah, Anxious Soul is going to come out on the 5th of December, I want to say.
Ooh.
I think that's when it is. It's like it's the Friday of the first week of December, so whenever that is.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's really cool. Yeah. And thank you so much for coming down and
thank you for having me. It's starting to rain now, so it's perfect timing.
Yeah, they're saying pack up, mate.
Yeah.